Integrity Music, the label that quietly shaped global worship. The question that changed worship. What if I told you that some of the worship songs sung in churches across Africa, Asia, Europe, and America started in small church gatherings with no idea they would ever go global? Before streaming, before Spotify, before YouTube worship sessions, there was a ministry with a simple but powerful vision. That ministry was Integrity Music. Today, we are diving into the untold story of how Integrity Music helped shape modern worship culture, and what gospel artists today can learn from it. Because this story is not just about a record label. It's about faithfulness. It's about vision. And it's about how small beginnings can impact the world. The early 1980s, a gap in the church. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, worship music looked very different from today. Churches relied heavily on hymnals. Contemporary worship music was emerging, but resources were limited. Many local churches had passionate worship leaders writing songs. But those songs rarely left their congregations. There was no easy way to distribute them. No digital platforms. No viral sharing. Just cassette tapes and printed song sheets. Integrity Music was founded with one clear mission: to resource the church. Not to build celebrities. Not to dominate the charts. But to help churches worship more effectively. That focus on serving the church became their defining strength. The Hosanna music revolution. One of the most powerful movements under Integrity Music was the Hosanna music series. These were live worship recordings, recorded in actual church services. Think about that. Not studio-polished, commercial performances, but real worship environments. Congregational singing. Spontaneous prayer moments. Authentic praise. These recordings captured something people were hungry for: presence. And something amazing happened. Churches around the world began ordering these recordings. They learned the songs. They taught them to their congregations. They adopted the worship culture. Suddenly, songs that started in one church began echoing across nations. This was not marketing genius. It was ministry vision. Global impact, from local altars to world stages. Through Integrity's platform, several worship leaders gained global visibility. One of the most recognized names is Don Moen. Before international tours and global recognition, Don Moen was faithfully serving in ministry. Integrity provided a platform for his songs to reach beyond local church walls. Songs like "God Will Make a Way" and "Give Thanks" became anthems sung worldwide. Other influential worship leaders connected to this movement included Baloche, Darlene Zschech. What's important here is this: Integrity didn't manufacture talent. They recognized calling. They supported ministry. They amplified what God was already doing in local churches. And that amplification created a ripple effect across continents. Why Integrity Music stood out. Many music labels focus on commercial success first. Integrity Music did something different. They invested in worship training, songwriting development, church resources, leadership conferences. They produced chord charts and teaching materials to help churches replicate the worship experience. They understood something powerful. Worship is not performance. Worship is participation. By equipping churches rather than spotlighting individuals, they built something sustainable. And sustainability leads to longevity. That's why decades later, the influence of Integrity Music can still be seen in how worship is structured today. The lesson for today's gospel artists. Now let's bring this home. If you are watching this as a gospel singer, a worship leader, an upcoming music minister, here's what Integrity's story teaches us. Serve before you shine. Focus on ministry before popularity. Build substance before chasing platforms. Integrity didn't start with global influence. They started with a burden to serve the church. And influence followed. Your song recorded in a small church today may one day bless nations. But it begins with faithfulness. This is why at Shabbat Global Gospel Sound, we believe in spotlighting upcoming gospel artists. Because we understand that every global voice once started local. Integrity music and the modern era. As the music industry evolved, so did integrity. From cassette tapes to CDs. From CDs to digital platforms. From physical distribution to streaming. They adapted. But they never abandoned their foundation. Christ-centered worship. Today, worship music is one of the most streamed Christian genres worldwide. And the groundwork laid in the 1980s and 1990s helped make that possible. Integrity music proved that worship could cross cultures, languages, and borders. Because true worship is universal. Conclusion: small beginnings, global impact. Integrity music didn't chase fame. They chased purpose. They didn't start with massive stages. They started with local altars. And through consistency, humility, and vision, they helped shape global worship culture. So if you feel small right now, if your platform feels limited, remember this: small beginnings are not small in God's hands. The next global worship movement may already be forming in a small church near you. And your faithfulness today could shape tomorrow's worship history. If this story inspired you, make sure you subscribe to Shabbat Global Gospel Sound. We are here to uplift gospel voices, share inspiring stories, and remind you that ministry matters more than fame. Comment below. What lesson did you learn from the story of integrity music? Let's grow together. And remember, great things always begin small.